Welcome back, everyone, to The Angry Chicken, the podcast all about Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm sitting here today with only Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. We don't have a guest. It's just the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are the chances?
It feels kind of comfy, actually. It feels nice.
I get to stretch out. Get all this room.
We've been having to make room for people like Nidra and Admirable and
coming in and messing up our overlays.
I know, having to make it like super skinny. And then Dills has to like share a space with someone if we do that image overlay when we look at cards.
Which we will.
Which we will today. Oh boy, will we ever today. We have a lot of cards to talk about today.
There's a ton of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of cards revealed since last we recorded one of these diddlies. But first, man, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know, where should we start? Dills, you've got a fun story. Let's start there.
Actually, okay, there's something that I think we've neglected to talk about that I just was thinking about.
Oh?
So before we talk about my story, have we talked? We haven't talked about how someone finally did the 110, did we?
I thought we did. Didn't we
Did we?
that? Wasn't it a couple of weeks ago?
I don't even
He
think
did it a while ago, and I don't think we
Yeah.
ever brought it up.
I don't think I
For
was
anybody
even
who doesn't know, 110 is an arena challenge. Sorry, this is like not in the notes at all, but I just remembered this, and I'm like, we never talked about this. Two Beers is a German Hearthstone streamer, and he did the 110 finally. What everyone was like losing their mind trying to do. I think Hafu had been the closest, like 97. It's incredibly hard. You have to win 100 times in 10 arena runs consecutively, where you use every class if you can, right? So you can't like just use Mage, Rogue, and Paladin, right? Mm-hmm. You have to pick classes if you have the option to pick something you haven't used. So it's really hard. And apparently Amaz is going to give the guy who does it a bunch of money because he came up with the idea. And no one had been able to do it, and it had been all over the arena streams, people trying to get it done. And he finally did it. And nobody really knows who this guy is. And he totally pulled it off. So congratulations to him. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
watched,
say that, guys.
I watched Hafu trying to do that.
Yeah.
And just like watching her stream, and like every time it's like, okay, this first run, no, it doesn't count. No, we don't take the first run. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, that must be so frustrating. Like
technically
resetting
you're supposed to announce that you're doing it on like your first run and say, okay, this is a 110 challenge. And then you do it. And some people had tried to kind of skirt that rule by they got like 2 12s in a row, and they're like, oh, well, by the way, this is 110. And they're like, no, that's not how you do it. But no, this guy legit did it. I think Hafu's run that I was watching, she got to the end and drafted like a pretty bad deck, and then went like 2 and 3, and it was sad. And it just,
that would just be heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's so tricky because you have to do it over such a long period of time, and when you get the bad classes like Warrior, Priest is like the worst in Arena right now, or like Druid or something like that. It's just really tough. So congratulations to him. It's really cool that someone pulled it off. And I tweeted out and I was like, what do Arena players do now?
Yes, well, maybe I remember you talking about it on Twitter because I definitely remember you seeing those. I remember seeing your tweets, so maybe that's what I'm thinking about. But I'm like, no, we totally talked about this. But
yeah, Yang Wu tweeted back at me, and he was like, "Try to be like him," and I was like, "Well, okay." But I mean, really, like I was tweeting at, and I tweeted back at Yang Wu. I was like, I was trying to hint at. I think Arena players want something outside of us having to do it ourselves, right? Which is invent some crazy challenge that's impossible. So. I hope that one day Blizzard gives us something outside. I mean, I get it. We get rewards. I got it. We get it. But we want some sort of ranking.
You want some sort of competitive
ourselves.
ladder or something.
Yeah. But anyway, crazy game story off the top. I was playing Mage the other day, Tempo Mage, and remember the days of Casino Mage? I know Garrett, you played the deck a little bit. You were you were into it.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. The thing needs to die in a fire.
So I was playing fairly standard Tempo Mage, but this was just one of those situations where it's like Hearthstone just doesn't want you to win, right?
So every time I played Casino Mage.
Yeah. I finally get a Flame Waker on the board, and all of my friggin' I'm playing Arcane Missiles and stuff, and everything is going face. It's just smork missiles for days. Everything's going face. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm still kind of in the game. Then I end up getting a piloted shredder on board, and the guy plays Sludge Belcher. I'm like, okay, I got this, because I still had like a 2-1 Flame Waker or something like that. So like, okay, we're gonna do this. I'll attack in first, so that the Sludge Belcher's got 1 health. That way, when I cast Arcane Missiles, it's like guaranteed or cast whatever spell it was I had. It's like guaranteed to like get. All I need to do is get 1 damage on the thing. So I do that, and then what comes out of my shredder? Lorewalker Cho. So now I can't cast the spell I was going to cast anymore, or else I'm going to give it to the other player, who I think also happened to be a tempo mage. So you really don't want to give him spells. So I ended up not being able to do that. Then on the next play, he has a piloted shredder on the board, and I'm like, okay, cool. We'll clear the shredder, and then we'll do whatever. And then I clear the shredder, and out pops Doomsayer. So now I can't play the minion I was going to play.
Dear God.
Then we get down to, it's not over yet. Then we get down to like the end of the game, and I'm like, okay, I still have a chance. I've got these two e-sportals, unstable portals. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. First unstable portal, Nat Pagel. All right. I'm like, I got one more. Second one, the friggin' 1/2 that gets rid of half of a weapon or whatever it was. And I'm just like, never mind. I quit. And yeah.
Wow,
so,
man. So you just sucked up all of the Garrett luck.
Yeah. It's just for one game, I was Garrett. And it felt bad, dude. I did not enjoy that.
That is exceptionally awful, even by my standards. That's really bad.
The thing is, though, when it's that bad, when it's just that terrible, all you can really do is laugh, right? There's
nothing you can do.
Because I was like, okay, after all of that, this portal has to be decent, right?
Well, I would argue the other option. The other option is crying, actually, Dills. But laughing is definitely the better of the two.
Yeah, I guess so. I think. Oh no, I wasn't playing against the mage. I was playing against the paladin. Now I remember. But yeah, it was. Yeah, it was bad. I think right after that, I literally stopped playing ladder, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna play Giants Hunter on the ladder or on casual or whatever. I lost the plot. Like that was it. It's like, nope, I'm done. We're not trying anymore. It's over.
Tough time, man. I'm sorry to hear that. But
yeah.
maybe I'll be able to cheer you up soon in person, like this summer.
Ooh. Announcement?
Like when, Garrett?
Like on July 30th. It's a Saturday.
That's really funny. I think I actually might be in the same place on July 30th.
Will you? Will you?
I have
Okay.
plans actually to go to Florida on July 30th. I'm not sure why, but
well, that's fun.
Probably the weather. Probably going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the weather because it's really good here in July. We probably shouldn't lead with that.
We should probably warn people though.
If you haven't heard, if you haven't been paying attention to the Twitter sphere, which apparently a lot of people who follow us on Twitter don't, because a lot of people are like, hey, is there a place we can watch you stream? And it's like, really? Because that's pretty much all we tweet. Anyways, just saw that earlier and made me laugh. We're having a convention. A-Move TV is putting on its own con right here in Orlando, Florida, on July 30th, this upcoming July 30th of 2016, this year. Not next year, not 3 years from now.
This is coming soon.
Freaking July. We're calling it Create Con. And you can go to createconvention.net for tickets and details. But basically on July 30th in Orlando, in downtown Orlando, we're going to be getting together. We're going to be doing a live In Your Chicken, live Into the Nexus, live Gamers In. There will be a live Night Attack. Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood are coming. We're going to have some other panels as well. We're going to be talking about creating podcasts, the business side of podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So if you dig the show and you want to come see a live In Your Chicken or any of those other podcasts I just rambled off, this is the thing to come to.
Yeah, buddy.
So super freaking stoked about that. So go check that out. And I totally misspelt the URL in the show notes, which made Jocelyn look like a moron, but it's me, folks. I am the moron. Let's try that again.
Just
There we
trying to
go.
help, and Garrett makes me look like an idiot.
Yep. So we're starting.
Never again.
So this will be-
The E is silent.
CreteCon.
Or did you not think? Or did you think I didn't know what a U googly was? Anyways, so this is going to be our first one. So we're starting a bit small. There's only going to be 150 possible tickets sold. So if you're thinking about coming, buy a ticket. Not a lot of seats. So check it out. I'm super stoked and nervous as all get out. So
It's going to be fine.
yeah,
It's going to be super fun.
gonna be a good time.
The thing is, 150 people, I mean, I do that every single year at MGA World Championships. That's a very manageable number. It's when you get to like the 200s where it's just like, oh god.
Oh yeah,
Where is everybody?
We've had over 100 people show up to this very venue for our fireside gathering.
Yeah, for the firesides,
we'll
right? Yeah, so you've got some experience handling that amount of people. So.
Oh yeah, but that's like just like, hey guys, just show up and play games.
Sure.
This is, hey guys, show up and we're gonna entertain you with things that we have to plan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, be here at certain times, people.
Yeah. Which we have tournaments at the fireside, and those can be kind of nuts to figure out, but nonetheless. Anyways, super stoked again. CreateConvention.net for tickets and details. We've got a group rate on a hotel. Go check it out. And also, before I move on, and while I'm in announcement mode, I'm back writing for Hearthhead again. I'm also making videos for them, so you can go to Hearthhead right now and check out Hearthstone headlines. I'm doing a weekly news wrap up for them, and I also have a piece up that I just wrote about Forbidden cards and Hearthstone's overall kind of design theory. So go check that out as well. I'm super happy to be writing for them again. So into really light Hearthstone news, because there's not a whole lot this week, so we're not going to be throwing bumpers at your face or anything. We're going to be moving very quickly into card reviews. But did you guys see Disguised Toast attempt to do Twitch Plays Hearthstone?
Yeah. I watched the video. It's funny. It's Disguised Toast style. This isn't actually a brand new thing, though. There was, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a time, because there's Twitch Plays Pokemon or something like that is already a thing.
That was the first big thing where they basically mapped certain controls of Pokemon to commands that people in Twitch chat could punch in, and there was a system that took whatever the majority of the current command that was being punched in, and that's what happened. Walk forward, walk right, hit A, send Pikachu out, take way too long to beat the game because crowdsourcing controlling a video game is not efficient in any way, shape, or form. So Disguised Toast tried to do this for Hearthstone. So he mapped out all of the clickable areas in a game of Hearthstone, like your enemy hero, enemy board, friendly hero, hero power, and all 10 potential card slots in your hand. Needless to say, didn't work out very well, but I had to, if our listeners out there have not seen this, we have a link in the show notes. It's hilarious. It might be my favorite thing that Disguised Toast has done. And if you've ever streamed Hearthstone and watched the string of Twitch chat going lethal when you clearly don't have lethal, this is the best thing ever, because it's like Twitch chat, no. So go check it out. Only Disguised Toast, only he would do this. Only a man wearing a cardboard cut out in the shape of bread would
over his face.
Would be
no, but what I was saying, there was actually a Twitch Plays Hearthstone before, but it was also a mess, and I don't think somebody put as much effort into it as this. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it was. I watched it for a little while, and I was like,
I watched.
Too frustrating.
I watched a streamer try and do it with voice commands, which that's what I remember seeing, and that definitely worked better than this, but it also didn't work too well.
I don't have the need inside me to make games harder for no reason. So the guy who's playing World of Warcraft, he's going to level to 100 using dance pads. Have you seen this guy?
Yes.
Yeah. I watched it for a second. I was like, oh no. Like I don't understand who's watching this, because it's like trying to do something with my left hand for hours, right? And I just don't want to, right? Like just trying to write with my left hand, right? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm going to do it.
I hate you, Jocelyn. I hate you so much.
I'm talking about writing and stuff. Anything. Just go out in the world today and don't use your dominant hand for anything. I just feel the frustration.
Jocelyn is a 5-year-old.
Just because you guys have dirty minds doesn't mean that I can't.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I had nothing to do with it. Jocelyn started laughing, and that triggered me. So it was all Jocelyn. It was all her.
I'm sorry, Garrett.
The host, everyone thinks, is so sweet and kind and innocent.
Yeah.
You're all very wrong, just for the record.
Well, anyone who watches Ladies Night knows that
that's true.
Not how I actually am.
That is true. Oh, well, geez. Well, before we move into, we're going to move right into strategy. Before we do that and talk about new cards, let's thank some of our patrons this week. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. If you dig the show, if you like what we do and you want to support us, that is where you should go. And on this episode, let's thank Nicholas, Catherine Kling, 9-car pileup. That's morbid. Tim Harris, Peter H., Jake S., Gilfillan, and Relics. I'm going to assume 9-car pileup. It was a pileup where all the airbags deployed and no one was harmed.
I hope so.
Me too. Well, let's dive right into this week's strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Oh, we have many cards to talk about. Many cards. And let me back this up a bit. Let me slow my own roll. I had images in the wrong place if you're watching live. So since we last spoke, a total of 13 cards, I believe, have been revealed if we're not counting 5 new spells that one of these cards brings into the game as well. 5, potentially.
Yeah. Looks that way. And we actually got some decent ones here.
We do. So I'm going in reverse order. So we're starting with the most recently revealed thing, which is a new druid spell called Mark of Yasharaj. Yasharaj. The vowels are, there's enough vowels in here, but they're in the wrong location.
They are. It's weird, man. But whatever.
But yeah, so this is a common druid spell. It costs 2 mana, and it reads: give a minion +2/+2. If it's a beast, draw a card.
All right.
I'm really excited about this card, guys. I've been wanting for Beast Druid to be a thing for a while now. Really, I can't even. What is the card? I don't remember because there's no point in playing Beast Druid right now. But what was the guy who was like a 4/4 turns into a 7/7 if you have a beast on board or something?
That is Druid of the Fang.
There you go. That one. That particular card, I'm like, oh, this is so insane if you actually have a beast on board. And it's like, oh, but Beast Druid doesn't really work.
Yeah. I mean, I actually did play with it with Beast Druid right when that card came out. And that was pretty much all that there was that Beast Druid actually had. And at this point now, I think Beast Druid is only a couple of tools away from being a legitimate deck, right? And the only thing really holding it back, too, at this point, is that Force of Nature Savage Roar is just way too good. Mm-hmm. So why the hell would I ever do anything but play that kind of druid? And we're pretty positive that's going to get changed when Whispers of the Old Gods comes out. So in lieu of that, Beast Druid should be pretty decent with this and maybe one other extra tool. Because, right now you've got this. You got the Knight of the Wild. You have the one that buffs an existing beast, and then of course they added like a couple of extra druid beast cards in there that are actually fairly decent. So
well, and the Inspire one, Savage Combatant. That's
Savage Combatant,
yeah,
that's a really good card. And without Piloted Shredder, there's a much higher reason to play Savage Combatant as your 4-drop, right? So I think Beast Druid will be, it's basically a tempo deck. It's plays strong minions on curve and kind of cheats out stronger minions than it's supposed to play. So similar to, say, like a Dragon Priest, it'll work kind of in that vein. And I think it'll be strong. And this is a really, really good tool for that, because giving +2/+2 is fine for 2 mana. And then the fact that you'll get to draw a card, so you cycle it, that's awesome. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think this definitely goes into Beast Druid, and we'll see exactly what Druid looks like after the nerfs. So I think it's in there.
Yeah, I really like the kind of card draw mechanic here, just because it's a 2-mana card, so it's something you're probably going to be playing pretty early in the game, which is something that Druid tends to kind of stall out, especially if you've got your Wild Growths and your Innervates. All of a sudden you've got an empty hand, so having the ability to actually draw cards within the first 2 to 4 turns of Druid, I think is going to make a big difference.
Yeah. Well, also we're probably going to see a change to Ancient of Lore too. That's been hinted at as well.
Yeah, so. I was about to bring that up. And also, even say we didn't have Ancient of Lore changed, this is still good in the late game if you're not drawing your Ancient of Lores. So still fine. Yeah. Again, if you're playing with beasts, it doesn't draw either card if you don't apply it to a beast. But we're pretty much, this entire discussion is a big what if on Beast Druid.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
here's the play. Turn 1. Hungry Crab.
Yes.
Turn 2. Mark of Yasharaj. Yep.
Screw you,
Yeah.
Murloc Paladin.
Yeah.
It's not really going to be a thing anymore.
What?
Well, you're dropping in on turn 1, so I'm not sure the Murloc Paladin is all that that concerned.
No,
It's like,
but yeah.
in your face, Tinyfin.
We don't have like a quality 1-drop beast yet, but also there's things like coin Crocolisk into Mark of Yasharaj. That kind of stuff will happen. Haunted Creeper is going away, right? So Haunted Creeper is not an option anymore, at least in Standard. Oh yeah, Angry Chicken. Boom!
Yeah. Oh,
Angry Chicken Druid
Oh my
deck.
god, I'm going to totally try and make that a thing.
that's what we should do after all of this is actually released. That should be like
Okay,
our
collect
first
the meta.
show. We'll do our Collect the Meta, and we'll do an Angry
It's
Chicken.
going to be
Druid.
Angry Chicken Beast Druid.
Yeah, I love it.
Call it the chicken
Nice.
coop. Wonderful. Well, let's talk about our next card. It's a pre-spell called Shadow Word Horror. It's rare, costs 4 mana, and it reads, destroy all minions with 2 or less attack. I haven't seen this card get crapped on. I think it's okay. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm not super excited, but I'm not super disappointed.
Yeah.
For 1 more mana, you've got a Holy Nova. For the same mana, technically, you have a Lightning Storm, split across 2 turns with the potential for 3 damage.
The problem is that it's just inconsistent, because you know what Holy Nova is going to do for you. And the reason why Light Bomb is so good is there's so many minions that it hits and it doesn't require them to. Like, if, let's say Light Bomb was something like destroy all minions with 5 or more attack, right? Which would be like kind of the reverse of this. It would be Shadow Word Death multiplied.
Okay.
This is Shadow Word Pain multiplied, right? Kind of, because that's 3 or less, which is a huge difference. Those cards would be much weaker. The fact that Light Bomb just hits whatever and just does its attack damage to it just makes it so much more consistent. This card just seems way too inconsistent to me. You're hoping that you're playing Zoo every game or something. I don't know. Like, it's just
No,
Yeah,
you know
exactly. I
what?
think if it was destroy all minions, even with 3 or less attack, like if it was actually literally Shadow Word Pain on steroids, then maybe it would be a different conversation. But 2 or less attack, I mean, you're using your whole turn, and you may or may not actually even kill everything. I don't know.
And you may kill your own things.
Yeah.
okay. Here's the play.
I was
Are we
gonna,
going to do that for every card? Here is the ridiculous
Confessor
we totally-
Paltris.
We
Okay,
have switched roles
Inspire.
here.
Then you get the Paladin legendary that makes all minions have 1 attack, right? Then you panda that back into your hand. Then you play that card the next turn, and then you Shadow Word Horror.
I was going to say,
But that card costs 7, so
that
never
it-
mind, it doesn't work. Okay.
I was going to say that if you're playing this, if you have this card in your deck, you're hoping you will go up against a mirror match where you're playing a buff priest, and they have a lot of 2 mana or
Maybe.
two attack minions that have a crap ton of health. But
let's think about what it actually kills, and I think actually at this point it's killing a lot of things that are going away. So it's killing Death Lords, going away.
Yeah.
It's killing mini bots, going away. It's killing zombie chows, going away.
Yeah.
What are you killing at this point? You're killing tokens that pop out of things. Haunted creepers going away. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of new cards. You're killing the Brood and the Zoth, and you're killing Undercity Huckster,
Yeah.
which died to Holy Nova.
Well,
So
that's the thing. A lot of the 2 attack minions generally have 2 health. And if you have for 1 more mana the benefit of healing yourself and all your stuff, why wouldn't you just Holy Nova?
yeah, exactly. I think with the inclusion of Excavated Evil, I think we got much better options as far as AOE's go. So people in the chat are saying confuse. Okay, so to make confuse work with this, you have to knock all their healths down to less than 2,
Yeah.
which means you probably have to do something like Holy Nova anyway first, then confuse, and then Shadow Word Horror.
Yeah.
I just don't see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
you sold me. This card sucks.
The art, though, I mean, it shows what it's meant for. It's meant for Murlocs.
I was about to say, it makes me so sad because I love the art on this card. I'm sure the gold version is going to look quite dope.
By the way, note the all minions as well,
Yes.
not enemy minions.
I-
They'll kill your own stuff.
Everybody.
I said earlier, you might
Yeah.
kill your
Yeah.
own stuff.
But that's important to know. And it's something probably most people. You remember when they used to put all in all capitals? They're not doing that anymore.
Nope.
They're like, you guys get it now.
You're on
We
your
don't put it in
own.
caps.
Enjoy. But Battlecry is still in big, thick, bold font. Speaking of which, let's talk about a legendary that has a battle cry. Mukla, Tyrant of the Veil. Mukla's gone purple, guys. And look, more tentacles. So Mukla is back. He's, I guess, more evil this time because Mukla tries to kill you in WoW, doesn't he? Wasn't he kind of?
Technically, he's an enemy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's something.
Yeah, no, he's a little
fight.
boss
Yeah.
for a quest or whatever. But
Yeah.
has he ever killed anybody? It's like Stranglethorn Vale or whatever. No one
Yeah.
dies there.
In vanilla, I probably
Well, I guess
died
you
there more
used
than
to,
anything.
sure.
In
Yeah, people
original
used to die
vanilla,
there.
the first time I walked into Stranglethorn Vale, I'm like, this is gorgeous. Oh God, a raptor!
Actually, though, I do remember that one. There was that white tiger or something that you would have to fight on top of that little hill.
Yeah,
that was pretty tough.
Oh, I
Yeah.
died a bunch of times with that. I had to wait
Yeah.
for my current wife to come over on her druid and heal me through it.
Because I used to go for that as my hunter to try to tame that guy, and that was really hard because you had to get him kind of low, and then he had like a stunning attack.
Yep.
So he'd break your tame pet.
Oh, it was tough. Man.
Bangladesh, thank you. There we go. I remember that.
Anyway, Mukla, Tyrant of the Veil, is a new legendary. He's still a beast. He's still neutral. He costs 6 mana. He has 5 attack, 5 health, and battle cry that reads: "Add 2 bananas to your hand."
I have a banana question.
Okay.
Are these bananas like we saw in Tavern Brawl, or are these the straight up 1/1 buff?
These are the
bananas?
1/1 bananas. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
Mukla's bananas. Yeah.
You're paying 3 mana to give yourself the bananas now.
Yeah.
Rather than getting the 3 mana 5/5 where you give the other guy the bananas, you're paying 3 more mana.
doubled
Give
his.
yourself 2 bananas that then cost 1 mana.
That then cost mana. Yeah.
They
No.
doubled his cost. They doubled it.
I will play this in my Mukla deck, where I play both Muklas, but that's about it.
Your Mukla deck. I'm
My
glad.
Mukla Tempo Mage.
I love that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I love that that's a thing.
It's not a thing, but we'll make it a thing anyway, just for funsies. But yeah, it's not good, but it's fun.
Yeah, there may be other legendaries in Arena. You would take this over.
Well, okay, so a 6 mana 5/5. Why wouldn't you just Sylvanas?
Sure,
Well, right, if
well,
we're- if
absolutely.
we're-
Yeah,
if
you're
we're
gonna
talking-
put this into a deck over anything. Yeah.
Anything.
Or Thorison, or anything else.
Or
that does
Cairn
much
even.
better.
Like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cairn, a 6 mana 8/10 over 2 bodies. Yeah, I think I'll take that over putting 2
Yeah.
bananas in my hand. But yep.
Yeah.
But I'll make a fun deck with 2 Muklas in it, and it'll be fine. We'll throw bananas all over the place.
I'm sure I'll
Great.
try this in some stupid combo rogue that I'll put together when I have a rogue daily and it won't work really well and I'll get really annoyed and just not finish the daily, and the next day I'll just hit the X and hope I don't get rogue again.
So here's like the reason you would pick this in Arena is if it goes up against, I don't know, like Millhouse and Cho, and then you're like, all right, I take the Mukla,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm with Chavram. They're saying the only real synergy is Tempo Major or maybe Rogue, and yeah, I mean, I feel it's somewhat deceptive to say that this is you're paying 6 mana for a total of 7/7, where something like Cairn you get a lot more, because the bananas are spells and they do trigger anything that you gain a benefit from casting spells or just playing a card. That is added value, but still, like it's just too expensive. Would you do this for 5 mana? Would you play him for 5 mana?
Probably not. Still,
Okay.
Yeah.
it would be better.
Well, yes, that's
It would be much better, but it's still not. I still don't think that it's worth it. So
yeah.
yeah, this is just not going to be a good card. I'm getting the feeling that oops, I just did something.
Yes, you did.
I'm getting the feeling that like some of these cards, Blizzard is just kind of messing around, and they get that they're not going to be good, but they're just having fun, and I'm totally okay with that because, as we know, bad cards do have to exist, and they should exist, and we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
But there, one thing about this card is like someone's going to open this in the pack and be very disappointed. So it's like I don't know, just don't make too many of these, Blizzard. Just,
It depends on what your playstyle is, right? Not everybody's going for Legend. Not everyone is a super crazy tryhard that
Sure.
wants to just have the objectively best deck. Not everyone just goes to Tempo Storm, copies a deck list, and goes. There are folks out there who want theme decks, who want just fun decks. So cards like this, that's good. We need that kind of stuff.
Yep. My
But
buddy Cal's going to probably he's going to make his Mukla deck. He loves making just weird decks. That's his thing.
yeah,
So,
Kyle's the same way. He's free to play, but he loves having a theme. And if you've ever played him in Magic, you'll realize that really fast when you realize you're playing against cards that have been they're probably 10 years old, and you're like, what? Huh? What are you doing to me? Huh? I've never seen anything like this.
he's the guy who shows up with merfolk and
Yeah.
allies and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I could see Kyle like
Slivers.
just happening to get Mukla and be like, okay, cool, let's go with my Beast Hunter. I don't care. Why not? So,
The funny thing though is actually the regular Mukla. That was one of the first legendaries I opened, and I crushed with that card for a long time.
Yeah?
That card is actually fine.
you were
'cause-
trying to sell me on spending 1,600 dust on it for a while.
Yeah, well, see, this was a long time ago, man. This was this was before
I know.
a deeper understanding.
I'm
but,
not coming down on you, man. Back in the day,
Yeah.
it was pretty freaking sweet.
But yeah, no,
Pretty sweet.
playing that on turn 3, I won a lot of games that way because you just hit them in the face for 5 a turn for the next 3 turns or something. It took a while for them to deal with it. So
Yeah.
this card is the complete antithesis of that. So
Yeah, this is a slow card. Let's talk about Cult Apothecary. It is a common neutral minion, costs 5 mana to play, has 4 attack, 4 health, and battle cry that reads, for each enemy minion, restore 2 health to your hero. It's fine.
Heal. It's heal bot E kind of.
yeah, but the problem here is you're behind on board to get this effect
but
to work.
you're not
right?
necessarily behind because it's for each enemy minion. That doesn't mean your board has to be empty.
Well, no, but how? But okay, but let's talk about in real terms how Hearthstone games work. And most of the time, when it gets to your turn, there isn't a bunch of dudes on their side and a bunch of dudes on your side. Like that's generally not how the ebb and flow of Hearthstone games works. Someone's ahead and someone's behind, and the person who's ahead generally does their best to stay ahead, which is value trading, right? Maybe against specifically aggro decks that don't care and don't trade and just keep going face. But that's not going to happen. I don't think often enough. I think.
Well, right after an implosion. Because implosion's turn 4, and then actually, do we still have implosion in standard?
No, it's going away.
No, it's going away. Damn it. Well,
Right,
never
that
mind
is-
then.
Yeah, it's the thing is that it's just to me like what the beauty of Healbot is that Healbot was like I need 8 health and I need it right now and I get 8 health, right? So against like a freeze mage, this card will do nothing because freeze mage will never have anything on board. Against a lot of combo-y decks, there just won't be things on board. And against aggro, you'll play this to gain a bunch of health, and then they just still have their minions, and then they just hit you in the face again next turn, and you lose all the health you gained, and all you got was a 4/4 for 5, right? So I'd rather clear the board than heal and play a 4/4, an overcosted 4/4. You know what I mean? So I don't think this card's going to be good. That's my initial reaction.
Yeah.
I like waiting to let Garrett say something.
No, just you're right. I mean, it's fine because you're still getting a 4/4 and you're healing on top of that for 5 mana, which has value in and of itself. But you're right if you're comparing it to Healbot, which literally I think everyone is. I don't think I've heard anyone say a single word about this card without bringing.
Well, that's a healing card,
bringing
right?
up Healbot,
So, I mean,
right?
For 5 mana
compare
with
it to healing
stats. Yeah.
cards. Yeah.
Right. So again, I pose this question to you guys: is this intentional? Is the
I
goal
really think
with
so.
this expansion overall and removing GVG and Naxxramas? Are we reining in the power level of the game of Hearthstone overall, at least as it applies to
Yes.
standard?
Yes, because we're
Absolutely.
losing a bunch of really, really powerful stuff. And I think most pros would agree that Nax and GVG were a little overtuned, as a whole, right? And TGT was a little undertuned in comparison. But now that we don't have Nax and GVG, cards like this are actually probably balanced. Like this is probably balanced. I just think it's still bad. That's the problem. You're asking your opponent you're asking a condition to exist that you don't control. And
This card is good when you're in a position you don't want to ever be in.
exactly. The thing is a card to like gain a slot in your deck, it has to do something specific that you want to do. And this card is only going to be good against certain matchups and not like every matchup. So it kind of falls into like, I don't know, like the Kazan Mystic or something like that.
Tech card.
Where
Right.
you could tech this. Yeah. Like let's say we ever get to the point where people are doing sideboarding and stuff. I could see this being a sideboard card because you're like, oh, I know that he's flooding the board with little dudes. So this card will be good in that scenario.
Yeah, when we get the corrupted version of Muster for Battle, and then we have Token Paladin just flooding the board with lots of little dudes. It's like, yeah, Cult Apothecary. But I'm with you. It's kind of like Kazan. It's not good enough for your average players what they need out of their deck to just go grind the ladder. Because you never know what you're going. You need your deck overall. If your goal is to rank up as high as you can, you need a deck that does well against most archetypes that you're going to come up against.
And think about why Healbot was so good. Healbot was so good because it was only in decks that could really utilize it, right? So you saw it in things like Freeze Mage and Stall combo-y decks and things like that. And there's still possibly a place for this in those types of decks, but you'll have to still also do something else that turn. And the thing is, Healbot, you could just play it that turn and it did that thing no matter what the board state was, right? And so this, I see people in chat saying, oh, you play this and then Consecrate. I'm like, okay, so that's turn 9. So this is good on turn 9? Like, no, not really.
Right. Like if this Battle Cry was on a cheaper minion with less stats, I would be excited about it for that reason, because you could combine it with a board clear.
Yeah, let's say it's a 3-mana 2/2. I think then you've got something.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But because you have to pay 5, it's like you're not comboing this with Jack.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, it's like it's a card that I think will find its way into some decks sometimes for some reason, but I don't think it's gonna. This is not going to be the new Healbot that I think some people think it is.
Yes. Listen to us try and cover our butts.
Well, I really think, and
like Tracer should be covering her butt, right?
Oh,
right?
for crying out loud!
Oh man.
Listen, folks, if Blizzard decides they just want to make everyone in their game wear polka dotted pajamas, they can do that. Because guess what? They made the game. Calm down.
Yeah. By the way, this Mukla is way too sexy. I think they should take this out of the game.
It makes me feel funny in my crotchal region.
Oh my God. It's the crazy bulging muscles, isn't it? Bulging tentacles?
God.
Bulging
Yep.
something?
Oh, you're still talking about
for it,
Mukla. Okay, never mind. Let's talk about Infest, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about a Hunter spell. Hunters are getting a new spell called Infest. It's rare. It costs 3 mana, and it reads, give your minions Death Rattle, add a random beast to your hand. Guys, I have no idea if this is going to be standard playable, but I am so stupid excited about this card.
I really like this card. I think, combining it with an Unleash could be really cool. It's like you have a whole bunch of charging web spinners then. I like it.
Yeah. The people were saying like, oh, create your own ball of spiders, but not really, because like you said, the hounds charge and the web spinners don't charge. So if ball of spiders was 3 charging web spinners, then that would be played.
That would be
now.
that would be better.
That would be played today, right, in Hunter decks. But the problem here though is that this is 2 cards to make that happen. So it's a combo, and you're taking up two spots in your deck. So I'm not 100% convinced on this card, but I am going to definitely try this. I'm going to definitely play with this. Put in Feign Death and things like that, and double up on the beasts and all kinds of stuff. So, turn 8 you could do this. You could unleash this Feign Death, have a full hand of beasts. That could be awesome.
It kind of makes like a late gamey, control-y kind of a hunter a little bit more viable, I think. Like if you can get 3 to 5 beasts out of this card to refill your hand and have some synergies going, like it's going to be nice to see, or potentially see, a hunter that isn't just straight go for the face.
Yeah, I love Rob May in the chat room, by the way, who points out something I never thought of. Guys, we're giving our hounds fleas if we're infesting them. So
pretty much, yeah. It's
well played, Rob May.
It's a super super cool card, but it's not OP and it's not UP underpowered. It's fine. I think it's perfectly balanced. I think for the amount it costs, it does what it should. A card the problem here is that you get the beasts, they're random, and then you have to pay their cost to play them, right? So you're not cheating anything here, and that's the one thing that concerns me is, in Hearthstone's current incarnation, which may or may not be the same once we see this release, cards have to kind of cheat to be good enough to be in a deck, and this card doesn't. So to me, that's the one drawback to it, which might make it not be in the deck. But if we don't have enough cheating cards left, because so many of them are going away, then this card is totally viable, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. They seem to be kind of phasing out all the cheating cards, except we're stuck with Thorson. They seem to just be dialing back a lot of the power on a lot of things, or increasing the randomness in some ways to make them a little bit less reliable, like the Apothecary we just talked about. And I think in general, not necessarily that we're undervaluing a lot of cards, but it's difficult to really make a decision on a lot of these things till we see the full set, because I think in general the set is probably going to be less powerful than before. So things like Infest, where you can refill your hand, is probably a very powerful mechanic, even though it doesn't cheat things, because things like Unstable Portals are gone. So
yeah,
I think that maybe we're not giving them enough of their due as cards because we're so used to cheating. And
we look at cards that are in the current meta, and we're looking at things like Mad Scientist, and that's gone. That's going away. So we can't really use that as our barometer anymore.
Yeah,
that has to kind of be thrown out if we're talking standard. Now, if we're talking wild, then a card has to still probably cheat quite a bit to actually make it, or find some sort of broken combo out there. But
which is
this
fine.
could definitely be, there could be some sort of a control hunter that just wants to fill its hand with beast cards and then get use out of them. It'll play like Ram Wranglers and stuff. I totally see that being a thing.
Yeah. Also, I think this is fun. It's just a fun card.
Sure. Absolutely.
I love this effect. It's really cool. But we have a lot more cards to talk about. So moving on. Ragnaros, Light Lord. Oh boy, this card. This card may have inspired a new article by me on Hearthhead later this week. Stay tuned, folks. Ragnaros, the Light Lord, is the new Paladin legendary. What?
Yeah.
This card has so much controversy among like the lore nerds.
Yeah,
which
lore
is
people are pissed.
They're so angry, and I think it's because basically all the other like corrupted cards have gone from evil to more evil or good to evil. This is the first one we've seen that's gone from basically evil to good. It's almost like an uncorrupted version of Ragnaros, like what he may have been had he not been corrupted by the old gods, which I think is cool in theory. But I don't really know how a uncorrupted fire elemental would heal you. I still feel like that'd be a little burny.
He would cauterize your wounds. Come on, man, you're gonna bleed out
Light Lord.
if you don't. He has a shield, Jocelyn. Yeah. He's part of the Paladins class. Clearly, he worships the light and probably has learned some healing spells. Anyway, so
this is Ragnadin right here.
Anyway,
somebody did post, by the way, of. I guess there is some sort of story wherein Ragnaros fought against the old gods, or people like Ragnaros were tapped to fight against the old gods. Somebody linked that on Reddit somewhere and said, There's a possible way to twist the lore to make this work, guys. We don't have to be upset. You just have to be creative, I guess.
Ben Brode even mentioned it, because all four of the elementals used to be enslaved by the old gods. But when they were banished, they got their own free will, turned on each other, and then they started coming back into Azeroth one by one and starting their own shit.
There you go.
So Ben Brode even said, he's like, hey, I like the way I see it, it's like all of the old gods are coming back at the same time, and Ragnaros just kind of looks at it like, oh no, this isn't happening. I got to do something about this.
Yeah. So. I better turn into the Light Lord.
And I think that's fine. It's totally fine. It's Hearthstone, guys. This is a card game played within Azeroth, okay? There's like a Team 5 in Azeroth. Like, they've got a little office in Stormwind. They're designing cards, and there's some, big, boisterous, bearded man who goes, hey, guys, how cool would it be if Ragnaros turned good?
Well, literally, Ben Brode is walking around in Azeroth right now as we speak.
Yeah.
He's in my garrison.
He's in your garrison. Isn't he in your garrison?
Yep, he's in my garrison trying to sell me Hearthstone stuff, but I already bought all of it.
But I still click on him every single time.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about the card itself. He still costs 8 mana. He still has 8 attack. He still has 8 health. But he now reads, at the end of your turn, restore 8 health to a damaged friendly character.
Yep. I think this is fine. I don't know if this goes in over current Ragnaros. I still think you probably want current Ragnaros more than this because current Ragnaros controls the board, right? It does
It's
8 damage to
offensive
something.
instead of defensive. This is a very defensive card.
Yeah, but this card gets to attack.
Yes,
So
it does.
it does not read cannot attack. This card can actually attack. So if you think about it, this card also potentially controls the board because what you can do is if you play it, the turn you play it, let's say I'm at 22 health and I play this on turn 8. I heal for 8. It heals me for 8, right? That's pretty good. So I get an 8/8 and I heal for 8. Then if it doesn't die, then the next turn I can kill something, and if I'm now full, it will heal itself. And so I kill something and it heals itself again, and then I keep, hitting stuff every turn. So there's something here. I just don't know, because if Big Game Hunter doesn't go away in its current incarnation or get changed somehow, this card suffers from the same reason that current Ragnaros kind of suffers and isn't very popular. The reason Dr. Boom, and I talked about this on my stream last night, the reason Dr. Boom is so playable is because he is the only large costed legendary that if it gets Big Game Hunted doesn't mean you just lose the game, right? Because you still have boom bots. And Ragnaros getting big game hunted means you paid 8 mana, then they paid 3 mana and got a 4/2, right? So you just lose the tempo battle completely there. If that's still a thing, I don't know if this card's going to be popular. If Big Game Hunter changes, I think we'll see this. I think it'll be out there.
Yeah. Daggerman in the chat room says the other Rag kills this. In theory, if it doesn't go face, and since this Ragnaros can attack, this Ragnaros technically can kill the other Ragnaros as well, but die in the process. So, I guess you're technically right. The original Ragnaros is the only Ragnaros that can, in this fight, that can kill the other Ragnaros and survive, whereas Light Lord would have to sacrifice himself in true Paladin fashion.
I was going to say, that sounds very fitting, lore-wise.
Yeah, to destroy his evil, original, real version. So,
but yeah, we need to see what's happening to BGH before we can really evaluate any card that has over 7 attack. Because again, it's like the reason Handlock was okay in a BGH filled world was because you played those giants for really cheap. So when they got BGH, it wasn't just drastically
a huge swing.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't as big of a swing, but BGH hitting something you paid 8 mana for, that's just bad. That's why Nefarian's okay because he gives you 2 cards. Like those kind of things work out when you still get some value, right? But if this goes down and then heals something for 3 and then gets BGH, you just lost the game probably. So we need to know more information before we know.
There's been kind of rumors-ish that they might be changing BGH to only target giants, which they've spoken about before as the whole reason they designed BGH as a card to begin with was to deal with giants because the giants were just too powerful without a counter. So it would be interesting if they kind of went back to that and said, okay, any giant over 7 attack or whatever would be a fix, I think, without changing anything too much.
I just like more things like Keeper of Oldemon rather than BGH, just more ways to toy with the stats than just outright murder things. I don't know. There's lots of ways that there's lots of ways that we could talk about how this could work and stuff. But the reason why I see BGH as being a valuable thing is that it allows you to create cards like giants. It allows you to create cards like Ragnaros. Because if you had no way to kill them easily or with some simple counter, then it would always be Ragnaros would always be a 2-for-1 or something, right? You'd always have to run a couple minions into it or use some sort of a spell. So until they have more spells or something, I just want to see BGH be 4 mana, 3/2, something like that. I don't think it needs to get murdered in its current. I keep using the word murder. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to get destroyed.
So
in its
violent
current form.
today.
I know. I'm just trying to take back the violent world that Ragnaros the Light Lord is.
Well, Dills is just all he can think of is Warsong Commander. He's just there was a crime. There was a crime committed.
There was a crime committed. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be completely destroyed and changed forever. Just tweak it and it's okay.
Yeah. Speaking of crimes, let's talk about Tentacles for Arms. The new warrior weapon. It's epic, which in rarity, not in how the quality of the card
This card
itself.
is not epic at
It
all.
costs
No.
5 mana for Tentacles for Arms. So you must be getting something really cool, right? 2 attack, 2 durability. Oh, man. Wow. This must have an effect that just blows my brain to the back of the auditorium. Death Rattle. Okay, what is it? What is it? It's like win the game, right? Right? Death Rattle, win the game? No, return this to your hand. Really?
Yeah.
And then still pay the 5 mana again
I get to
play
pay
it.
5 mana again?
This is the I think the number 1 card that has incited just anger in me. I hate this card. I want to like it. It's like Tentacles for Arms. Yeah, I want Tentacles for Arms. Death Rattle, return this to your hand. Yeah, I want that. That's great. I want to keep just coming back with the weapon. But 5 mana for a 2/2 weapon, and you have to keep paying the stupidest card ever made.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Some people have been making the point that, Warrior doesn't use all their mana all the time anyway, so this is fine. But
No.
yeah, but the thing is, in the current state of what we have, and I know we're losing Deathbite, but we still have Fiery War Axe, where we're still going to have Gorehowl. Those are just going to be far better options, no matter what, than this ever will be. I've also heard people say, "Oh, but it's like a 2.5 mana hero power." No, because you pay 2 mana for your hero power once a turn. You don't pay 5 mana and then get 2 hero power overs. Like, that's not how that works, right? So this limits what you can do the same turn you play it. If you ever tried to play this on 5, you would never kill whatever is out there on 5. It's just not going to kill that. A 2/2 weapon barely kills. Like, we've seen 2/2 weapons out there, and they don't do much unless they're early game. So, yeah, this is bad. This is just a bad card.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So I think
Yeah,
we're
we still
done.
have Arcanite Reaper. Yeah, that'll be better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving on. I don't even
Yeah,
want.
we'll
I don't.
just
I don't
move
want
on.
to talk
This
about
is-
you anymore. Tentacles for Arms.
Ugh.
I'd rather talk about the Boogie Monster, which I am so glad is a card. Like, just the title. I don't care what the card is. I don't care what it is. I'm happy that is the name of a card in this game.
That is exactly how I felt when I saw this. I'm like, I don't even care what it does. It
Yep.
doesn't even matter. It's
Yep.
just the Boogie Monster.
Which means
I love
that
it.
which means that you and I are probably much happier about this card than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's a neutral legendary minion, costs 8 mana, has 6 attack, 7 health, and reads whenever this minion attacks and destroys another minion, it gains +2/+2. So I think that's a really cool effect. And I like that Boogie Monster starts out of range of BGH. But I just, it's just not good enough.
No, it's not
I think,
good.
yeah, it's too expensive.
It suffers from the same problem that what's the 8 mana Gruul? It's like Gruul.
Really, yeah.
Yes,
Why
exactly.
is the Gruul's not played? Why? Because it sucks. Because it doesn't do anything the turn you play it, and then it probably just dies and never does anything.
Right.
and you
I mean,
pay
you're
8
dropping
mana
this
for it.
thing, on curve. Anything you're going to be killing that late in the game is going to be doing significant damage to the Boogie Monster.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be losing health rapidly and will be very easy to deal with.
Yeah. So this card again is one of those where we have to figure out what the meta is going to really look like before we actually know. And it's a super fun card, but it's very doubtful in my mind that this will see play unless things are drastically different after Whispers of the Old Gods. And even then, I don't know. I don't think so. There might be some weird uses for it in some tavern brawls and stuff, But
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if it didn't actually have to attack. Like, if just it destroys another minion. So if you run a minion into it, it gets the buff. That would
like
be
just
really
any
cool.
minion that dies
That
to
dies to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like harder to kill because every time you attack it, it's growing.
Yeah.
That would be a really interesting card. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
The problem, it has to offensively do something before it gains
Yeah.
this buff. Yeah. And then it'll still just get like executed or something. I don't know. It's just, anytime you pay 8 mana, you really want something powerful,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why cards like Tyrion work, because even if it gets dealt with, you have a 5/3 weapon, right?
Right.
Even if it gets silenced, you have a 6/6 body. Like it still does something, and this card's not gonna do enough.
I agree. Just a really cool card that just doesn't work with the tools that we have in this game. And some of those tools are from the vanilla set.
Yeah.
So, Well, let's talk about the latest old god to be revealed, N'Zoth the Corruptor. We got to see him. Obviously, he's a legendary. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of a big deal. It's the first time we've ever seen what N'Zoth looks like. He's a kraken, massive, giant kraken. Neutral
With
legendary.
A huge mouth. He's like all mouth. His whole entire head is just like rah. He's really cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I'm geeking out about this art a little bit.
He looks very old gaudy. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So N'Zoth's going to cost you 10 mana. Comes into play with 5 attacks, 7 health, and has a battle cry that reads, "Summon your Death Rattle minions that died this game." That's really cool.
I
Yeah.
like this one a lot.
That's super cool. I mean, 5/7 for 10, like that's, but if you build around it, if you have a strong Death Rattle deck, I love this battle cry so much.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet. I think this, because you can look at this card as like on turn 10, this is a bomb, right? This is a card you play, and it's like, boom, Sylvanas comes back, Karen comes back, all of my golems and whatever the hell it is that I put in there, all come back on the board all at one time, and then the opponent's just like, well, AoE doesn't work here. What do I do? So yeah, you pay 10 mana, but you get a 5/7 and a whatever else. It's like 10 mana, you get everything. And they don't pull from your... This isn't going to like be bad in fatigue because, if you think about, the warrior card where it pulled 3 cards and then put them all on the board and stuff. Well, it's pulling them out of your deck. Yeah, so it was bad in fatigue matchups, right? So it didn't end up making it into control warrior like we all thought. This is like pulling them back out of the graveyard, right? So, yeah, this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah, it's creating new copies. And I mean, it's right up there with like the anything can happen paladin deck, right? 10 mana, you bring back the stuff that you plan to. So it's only looking at your minions. It's looking at Death Rattle. So it's not even as, I guess, both player dependent as anything can happen because it's only looking at your
deck.
deck.
It's your stuff. Yeah,
it's your stuff only. It's not any Death Rattle minions.
Deal.
Yeah, so it is a big deal. I think it's going to be really, really good to build a strong Death Rattle deck and then just come in with this at the end and basically just win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I love this card so much. I think it's great.
Right there with you.
And Death Rattle decks have always been something that I find intriguing, and I've always kind of tried to build really cool ones. I used to have a deck I called Death and Destruction, and that was just a Warlock Death Rattle deck that used Baron Rivendare, which Baron Rivendare is going away in Standard, but and we are losing like this card in Wild. Oh man, because you bring back Fuigen and Stalag, you bring back Baron Rivendare, you bring back Sneed's old Shredder. It's like you bring back all the cool stuff.
I think, do you bring back, Baron doesn't have a Death Rattle himself, does he?
No. But he'll go in your Death Rattle deck, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, you bring back all these other guys, but he's like your other way to buff your Death Rattles already, right? So you put him in there too. But like he brings back all these like awesome Death Rattle cards, Sludge Belchers, and all that kind of stuff. And then you're just like a super strong, annoying deck to begin with. So in Wild, this is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
We should also mention that he brings back anything that actually has a Death Rattle, not something that you have given Death Rattle to. So Infest, Explorer's Hat, anything where you're granting the minion Death Rattle. Same with the Raptors when you copy Death Rattles and stuff. Like that stuff won't work. It's just like the inherent Death Rattle minions.
Important to note, right?
Would be kind of cool if it worked that way, but I get it.
Well,
Makes
but
sense.
at the same time, it would, like we mentioned before, building a deck around it, getting all the strong Death Rattles. If you then threw Explorer's Hat and Infest and everything else, then they could land on not optimal minions,
put it
maybe
on
like
crazy minions and then bring them back. Yeah. Yeah,
That's true.
Put Explorer's Hat on Thorisons and then bring back a whole bunch of Thorisons. Like, be funky.
If they still had the hat on
so
them,
you're not
that's
going to
fine.
have your N'Zoth Raptor Rogue deck. Bring back a whole bunch of Raptors with crazy Death Rattles. But actually, it still might be fine because you bring back all the minions you Raptored already, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because you still have
Just don't bring back the Raptor.
So the Raptor, kind of like Baron Rivendare, is another way to buff your Death Rattle Rogue that you're.
It's in addition to the N'Zoth, so other synergies outside because you want other synergies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did I say you bring back Baron? That was just me misspeaking.
That's why I was clarifying. I was like, I'm pretty sure.
I meant you put that in there too, but you bring back all the other guys. Yeah.
I haven't played with Baron in so long that I had to think for a moment. That's why I was asking. I'm like, doesn't Baron not have a Death
The
Rattle?
only deck I've played with Baron in is the Reno Steed. So Dreadsteed, which by the way, Dreadsteed will not be a thing in Standard, but it will be a thing in Wild, man. It's gonna be awesome. Here's another way to make more steeds, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh God, wait a minute.
Oh man.
Oh, hold on.
Well,
You fill your board with steeds. You probably already have a bunch of steeds, though. But like your steeds die throughout the game.
I'm
right?
also not sure it's that exciting on turn 10 to get a bunch of 1/1s.
Yeah, 1/1s that never go away. You essentially have a board full of steeds from then on out.
Is it a good thing though? Is my question.
Yeah, you just hit everything for So you got 7 repeating damage every turn, right out the board, and
Well,
you can buff them.
6 because N'Zoth takes up a slot.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about Undercity Huckster, a new rogue minion. It's rare. It costs 2 mana, has 2 attack, 2 health, and a death rattle. Maybe it'll work with N'Zoth. That reads: add a random class card to your hand from your opponent's class. So the Huckster bringing you your opponent's spells, or cards. So rogues getting a little priesty. What do you feel about this, Dills? As the mayor of Milkshake Town, how do you feel about Undercity Huckster kind of stealing some of your mojo?
I mean,
he's drinking.
Gonna make a milkshake rogue.
He's drinking your milkshake, man.
That's gonna happen. Undercity Huckster is a very, very cool card, and I think that this card will see play. I think it's a weak, like you're paying a little bit of tempo on turn 2, but you're still putting a body out there and you're putting a card in your hand when it dies. So, I think it's fine. I think this is okay. This will probably see play.
I can dig it.
Yep. And you know what? Raptor. You play this on turn 2. On turn 3, you Raptor this, and then you get 2 random cards. I don't know. I think this is fine.
I like it. Joce?
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's fine. It's got I guess it's a death rattle instead of a battle cry, but it reminds me of Nefarian. I think it's great. I love how we have like almost nothing to say about the cards that are actually playable.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah,
Quick, people in the chat are telling me that Dreadsteed is in TGT. I'm aware of that, but we're losing Baron Rivendare and we're losing Kel'Thuzad. So that's what makes Dreadsteed decks playable at all. That's what I mean by it's going away in Standard. Unless we get new tools for Dreadsteed. And if Dreadsteeds are running into things the whole game, that's why you're going to get 6 Dreadsteeds, because they keep dying the whole game. So, and coming back and dying again and coming back and dying again. That's what happens. By turn 10, a lot of Dreadsteeds will have died. So you guys understand.
Many Dreadsteeds died in the making of this deck.
yes, many Dreadsteeds were harmed.
Yeah. Just want to point that out because people are like, people are trying to call me out, but there you go.
So we all like the Huckster. Let's talk about Renounced Darkness, a new epic warlock spell. It costs 2 mana and reads: replace your hero power and warlock cards with another class's. The cards cost 1 less.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so delightfully
Dude, this card
weird.
is awesome. What are you talking about, Jocelyn?
I love this card.
Okay, no, don't. Me and Garrett, shut up. Jocelyn, tell us why this card sucks.
Because it's so much random.
Yeah.
So much random. It's a random hero. It's random cards. It's not even spells or minions. It's just everything random.
But 1 less.
Did we trade
It doesn't
brains?
matter random. Everything costs 1 less. That's massive.
Jocelyn, did we trade brains and I missed it? Because I swear, like a year ago, I would be saying what you were just saying. And you would be saying what I'm about to say, which is this is the coolest card. It's just so much fun.
I'm not saying it's not fun. I think it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It could potentially play the same sort of a role that Sir Finley plays in a Warlock deck, where you get to the point where you don't want a Warlock hero power anymore, you don't want to draw any more cards, you don't want to lose any more health, so you change it up. But I would love this card if it was a discover card and you got to discover 3 classes and then choose. So I could say, like, okay, I want mage.
Okay, that would be better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I can't see myself actually putting this in a Warlock deck.
Yeah, but so here's why I think this card is good. Because of the 1 less. That's it. That's it. Because yes, you get a bunch of random cards, and yes, they might suck, but you also might get decent cards. and they all cost 1 less, and you just win the game because now you just have insane amounts of tempo. If it didn't have that, I'd be like, okay, fun card. We'll play around with it. We'll mess around with it. But you could have the one copy of this, and then play a super control-y style and get to the end of the game, and you have all these cards that are kind of useless at that point. So cards that draw you cards and things like that. Your hero power is no good anymore when you get to the late stages. So you have a super control-y Warlock deck, and then all of a sudden you just go, okay, throwing all that out, throw out all of my dead cards. Now I got a bunch of other cards that cost 1 less and a new hero power and a fresh game, and I can win this fatigue matchup. I really think that's going to happen. But I don't think you run 2 copies of this, and I don't think that you rely on this card ever. But I think there is a place for this card.
I think overall, and I want to clarify my opinion. I don't think this is a try hard rank up card. I don't think this is necessarily a good for a standard deck that you're trying to rank up with. I do think it's one of the coolest damn cards I've seen in Hearthstone. But no, it's too damn random. There's a million and one ways to make this better. And all I can think of is, I'm assuming the hero power will be the hero power of the class that the cards you end up getting.
Yes.
So my nightmare scenario is like weapon cards for the warrior, and my hero power can't make weapons, and I'm a warlock, so I don't have weapons.
Mm-hmm. The other thing though here is you're only replacing your warlock cards. You're not replacing your neutral cards.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, you're replacing warlock cards. But here's the other thing. I want everyone to also know this. Warlock cards are inherently weaker than all other class cards. And that is for a reason. Warlock has the best hero power in the game. So just look at Dark Bomb, and then look at Frostbolt, and then look at Quick Shot. Warlocks is inherently the weaker of those cards, right? And they are that way because Warlock has the best hero power. So turning your bad Warlock cards, which are just, technically worse, into any other cards is probably going to be a shift in power forwards in most cases, even with the randomness. I really think that. Yeah. So I may be completely wrong, but I will try this card.
I like your chutzpah, Dills, but I don't agree with you that much. I like this card a lot, but
that's fine.
It's not going in the deck that I'm trying to grind up ranks with. For me.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. I like that they're playing so much with this. I love the art. I think it's a cool, fun card, but I don't really think it's playable.
Yeah. Well, let's.
I will prove you guys wrong.
Do it. I want to be. I want to be proved wrong. You know what I want to be proved wrong on more than anything is tentacles for arms. I want something that I just am not seeing to just come out and be like, oh my god, Tentacles for Arms is the best card in the game. But I don't think that's going to happen. Let's talk about Brood of N'Zoth, a common neutral minion that is almost as adorable as Tinyfin. Almost. Not quite there, Brood of N'Zoth. Sorry. But Brood of N'Zoth costs 3 mana, has 2 attack, 2 health, and a death rattle that reads, give your minions +1/+1. Going in my N'Zoth deck.
Gonna be hard though. It's gonna be hard because you have to play it, and then you have to have minions on board when it dies.
Yeah,
and you're gonna have to have at least 2 on board to, so your opponents. It's gonna suffer from the same type of thing that like Dark Cultist suffers from, which is that people just kill things in the correct order, and then it gets no value. So
chat room saying this is also called Spawn of N'Zoth. I guess I grabbed a translated version.
An incorrectly translated version. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to suffer from that drawback, which to me means you probably won't see it very much. What's that other card, the newer card that's a 5 mana 4/4 that gives Death Rattle, gives something +3/+3? I remember a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, this is going to be so good in Arena," and then it just turned out it just wasn't that good in Arena, because of that same fact. You have to play it and then hope that things die in the proper order, right? And that's the issue. People will kill off all your other minions, then this one.
Right.
They'll get no value.
If this had charge,
Yeah,
Then
Anubisoth Sentinel. Thank
yeah,
you.
then,
Thank
then
you,
you would be in control, because you have to play this and let it sit for a turn before you can do anything with it. Your opponent's just gonna be like, okay, well, I'm just not gonna kill that. I'm just gonna kill everything else. Also, it's so cute. Why would I want to kill it?
Yeah. I do think though you'll pick this in arena sometimes because it'll be fine. It's a common neutral card, right? So there will be moments where it'll be up against other crappy cards, and you'll be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
What is it actually called? Spawn?
Spawn of N'Zoth.
Spawn of N'Zoth. Okay.
I like Brood better.
Yeah.
He looks like a little Brood. I'm not going to call him a Spawn. I'm going to call him
like
a Brood.
Brood if there was more than one, I think. Spawn makes it sound like it's his kid. Brood is like multiple offsprings.
Jocelyn, though, doesn't the prospect of a room full of these things just make you smile?
Yeah, he's kind of cute because he's got such a super serious face on, but he's just adorable. So you're just kind of like, oh, you want to be a badass, don't you?
Yeah,
he's got his tiny little armor on. Yep.
Yeah.
He's ready to go. He's ready to go to battle.
I really want to see the gold version of this card so badly.
You see, when I'm heading into ladder and thinking that I'm going to be a total badass, I feel like I look like N'Zoth the Corruptor, but I actually look like the Spawn of N'Zoth. That's how that works out. All right, we have one more card to talk about, and he's bringing with him many 1-mana spells. Zeril Poisoned Bind, the new rogue class legendary, costs 4 mana, 3 attack, 2 health, and a battle cry and death rattle that reads, add a random toxin card to your hand. And there are 5 potential toxins. There's the King's Blood toxin, the Blood Thistle toxin, the Briarthorn toxin, the Firebloom toxin, and the Fade Leaf toxin. And they all do beneficial things. They're all 1-mana spells, which is a pretty dope thing for a rogue to have to trigger combo. So what do we think of Zeril?
This is a cool card. I'm not sure yet because you'll have to have a specific rogue deck around it, right? But these 1-mana spells do something, and they activate combos, and they are spells, so you can draw potentially with Auctioneer or something like that. So there's definitely something here. It's just you're gonna have to play with it a little bit, I think. Most of these cards are kind of like weaker versions of cards that are actually out there. I mean, some of them are just like totally fine, right? So
yeah, Firebloom,
1 mana deal 2 damage, right?
Yeah.
That's
1 mana draw a card.
Yeah, 1 mana draw a card, and especially if you do that, 1 mana draw. Well, but there used to be a card that was 1 mana deal 1 damage, draw a card. You remember that? Now Shiv is 2 mana, but that's 1 mana just cycle. Like you're still gonna need something else to go along with that, really, to make that like super good. But then you got things like 1 mana give a friendly minion stealth until the next turn, so it's 1 minion, and it's until the next turn, so it's basically a weaker conceal. And then Blood Thistle Toxin is like a weaker Shadow Step, right? Because it costs 1 mana instead of 0. So some of these cards are slightly weaker than like they're supposed to be or whatever, or their counterparts, but they're free cards, so that's fine, right? You get them in your hand. Well, you pay stats for them, but
right. You're paying 4 mana for a
free
3/2. So Zeril's significant. You're basically paying double what you would want to for a 3/2 in most scenarios. But you have the potential of getting 2 1-mana spells off of him, which I think is just straight up good with Rogue, whether it's with Auctioneer or whether it's just to trigger your combo. I mean, 1-mana spells are great as a Rogue. Yes, something like Fade Leaf Toxin, which gives stealth, it's weaker, but I mean, it's still a cheap spell that you can just do, so you can trigger your combo or draw a card off of Auctioneer if Auctioneer becomes a staple of Rogue again.
Yeah, so but the Auctioneer is already kind of making a comeback just because we now have the ways to generate more coins and stuff, right?
Right.
In Rogue. So if you, I think this card could make it into that specific deck right there. And since it is legendary, it's just a 1-of. You're not putting 2 of these in there and making your deck inherently worse tempo-wise. Because this does suck tempo-wise. To pay 4 mana for a 3/2 sucks. Let's just be honest. That's a pretty big drawback, Like Toshli's a 6 mana 5/7, right?
Yes.
So
Right.
Toshli's body is like totally fine and gives you the 2 spare parts. So Toshli, I think, is slightly better than this card overall, but this card is still totally fine.
Right.
I think there's definitely decks that are going to use this.
And I think there's something to be said that you get this out sooner than something like Toshli, which for a rogue is important because now you have these cheap spells that you can carry with you into the mid game.
You get this prior to your auctioneer turn, and you also have the potential to add in the another way to conceal your auctioneer, which is a huge play in that deck. So when you set up that cycle with if you get the Fade Leaf Toxin, and then on turn 7, auctioneer, Fade Leaf Toxin, boom, you're set up to win.
I love the art on these poisons, by the way. Somebody make me all of these bottles. I want them.
Right? And they're so nostalgic of WoW. Like, they're all named after, like, vanilla herbs. They're awesome.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I'm getting mad flashbacks of the most boring time I've spent in WoW, which is running around picking flowers. So...
Plus, he's a Death Rattle minion. I mean, he can be resummoned again by N'Zoth at the
Put
end.
him in your N'Zoth deck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you won't get the battle cry, but you'll still get the
you'll
death rattle.
Death Rattle.
Yep.
And you'll get another 3/2.
And you'll love. I mean, let's be honest. You'll have a pretty sweet looking minion. The Klaxi art. I mean, this is the second Klaxi we've seen so far. It's been phenomenal. I love him.
They're awesome. Their
So
art
well
is
done.
amazing.
Which is hilarious because I remember raiding in Pandaria and I hated the Klaxi zone. I thought it was really homogenized, but like these illustrations of the Klaxi, it's just fantastic.
Yeah. I think we have to look at this card through the lens that we've been talking about, which is that the broken cards are going away, right? And so the power levels are dropping, and this card fits because of that. Like, this would be, I think, a bad card if there was cards like GVG and Nax cards still coming out.
Well, Shredder. Shredder is a 4-drop. Like, you would never...
Yeah, you would never play this over Shredder,
over
right?
Shredder, yeah.
Yeah, because what the hell? Oh, no, I would rather play a 4/3 that spawns a 2-drop, yes.
Yeah.
But in a Shredderless world, there is room for this card, I believe. It's just interesting. It's hard to change... It's hard to, like, pivot our focus from, like, oh, this is the power level we should expect, to this is now the power level we should expect. And I think everyone has to kind of try to do that to really understand. Yeah, we're re-creeping, we're uncreeping. The power is uncreeping right now.
Yeah.
So, which is a good thing, I think, overall.
I am a little bit sad that we've now seen Klaxi cards and they don't actually have a tribe. I was really hoping that we would see like Shaw tribes and Klaxi tribes and all that kind of stuff coming out with this expansion, because I think that there's a lot of room in Hearthstone to expand in that tribal space. So I was a little bit sad there.
I'm right there with you, Joss. But we've also only seen 2 Klaxi so far, and we've seen a good chunk of cards so far. So I mean, it just might not be enough to warrant it.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a tweet from Ben Brode about how Master of Disguise was a card that they were worried about. You see that?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're worried about Master of Disguise, which made me go, what's coming out?
Yeah.
That's going to make Master of Disguise, which has never even been in any deck ever, some potentially overpowered card. So there's something coming out. Yeah. Or they have ideas around that and they're worried about cards like that. It's really interesting to me. But again, it's like, yeah, we have to look at everything through this new lens, but I'm so curious what the rest of this set is going to look like. Because these are finally cards I think are piquing my interest, and we hadn't really had any of those yet. So this latest bunch here, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. I feel like if you listen to the last 2 weeks and you listen to this episode, there's a severe increase in our excitement level. Because we got some seriously fun cards this week that aren't necessarily the most powerful things in the world, but we also got some just straight up good cards revealed this week, and I'm excited about it. So bring it on. Also, I just want standard. Can we just please have standard? Please, thank you. Well, let's take an email or two, and before we do that, let's thank Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. If you would like to build yourself a website and you don't know how to code like me, you should go to Squarespace.com. Even if you know how to code, it's so darn easy to use, and you can still, open up the hood and do whatever you feel like to the thing. It's wonderful. I use it for everything I do on the web. I use it for these podcasts. So go check out Squarespace. And at checkout, use the code TAC. Let them know we sent you. Support the show in the process, and you'll get 10% off your first order. So go check them out. We thank them for their support.
10% off of the website that you use to make fun of the name Martha. It'll be exciting.
Am I missing something?
Apparently, you didn't see the same movie we all saw.
Yeah, jeez.
Oh, oh, I get it. I don't understand making fun
You
of it.
can make your Martha Rant website 10% off.
Ah, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Is that a thing? Is that a thing people are really mad about?
Oh, people are. Oh my God,
Yeah.
people hate that.
I mean, at the time, I remember thinking this is kind of dumb, but then I
It is dumb.
let it go and moved on with my life.
Yep, that's what I did too.
That's
I was
the
like,
difference
what?
between you guys and the rest of the internet.
Ah,
Like, whatever,
Wonderful.
man. I'm cool.
I was much more angry about yet another character killing people who shouldn't be killing people.
Man, okay, we can
I-
have that conversation off the
Yeah.
air because,
Yeah, that's
I've
after
got
show
I've got the argument against yours.
Yeah.
You will not win, whatever it is.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will.
All right, gloves are off. Screw Batman versus Superman. It's Garrett versus Dills.
We can't do this though because there will be spoilers. It's already
Yeah.
a spoiler just to say that. So
Well,
yeah.
well, if you say whatever. Anyway, we'll talk
Garrett,
about it in the after
what's
show.
your mom's name, by the way?
Darlene.
Oh man, I wish my mom's name was Darlene too. Then we could have a moment.
That would be a moment, but I'm not sure I've ever met a single other Darlene in my life.
I have a friend named Darlene.
Oh,
That was
really?
you, actually.
I think it's a cool name, but yeah. Anyways, let's take an email or two.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com, and Dills, I'm gonna make you start today.
Whoa. Okay. Are we skipping this top one here?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
grayed out.
We'll move
Okay.
it. We'll move it the next week. We're already at time pretty much.
Yeah,
so.
we are. So Aculius, I think that's how you say that, said, "Dear infested fowl, I know on recent episodes you have mentioned Arena as a possible part of Hearthstone tournaments. I'm wondering how that would work in terms of fairness. I don't quite understand the mechanics of the Arena draft, but sometimes I get higher level rarity cards than other times, i.e. sometimes I draft a legendary card, sometimes I don't, so I believe it's safe to say that it's random. On top of that, the class you get to choose is also random. So do you think that there should be any standardization on drafting in Arena tournaments, i.e. a set number of commons, rares, epics, and legendaries, or should it just be as it is? I would also assume that they would draft privately, not in front of any of the other players, as that would give the last player to draft quite an edge. One final thing, since Constructed is getting a little stale, I am also just doing Arena. Therefore, I was wondering if you guys could do some live Arena drafts and maybe give some helpful Arena advice. Aloha." Well, here's the thing. In Magic Limited and Draft, there is randomness, and yet it is still considered a competitive format. And the reason is that while you do get randomness and you will sometimes get bad drafts, that is kind of that's part of the deal. But overall, people with better strategies will still win more of the time, right? People who are able to draft, a stronger deck than other people just by their knowledge of the game and knowledge of how their deck is working so far, they'll still perform better in the long run, and that's fine. So yes, there will be some times where you'll just get shafted, and that happens in Arena now. And if there's a tournament, sometimes you just get shafted. Sometimes in competitive Hearthstone tournaments now with Constructed, you get shafted by the RNG in the game, and that's just part of the deal. So that's never going away, and you just kind of have to accept that there is a level of RNG, and in Arena, what that would also be the deck you end up being able to build, right? So
right. We already
it's fine.
kind of see that with streamers now. You see people like Merps and Hafu who
Mm-hmm.
are just really good at Arena, and if you watch them and then you go watch your average Arena player, you will notice that they statistically over the course of many games win far more often.
yeah. Now there's a really good thing that's been going on in the subreddit, the Hearthstone subreddit and the Arena subreddit. I don't know if people ever go there, but it's Arena HS, where someone's been putting together all of the stats on all of the top Arena streamers. And Hafu has been consistently at the top for a pretty long time. Long enough time that we can prove that this is not just RNG and Hafu's getting luckier than everyone else. She is better at Arena than everyone else. And that is just, I think at this point, an objectively true statement. She just has proven to be the top Arena player going right now. And so because of that, you can throw out the fact that randomness matters, in the long run. It does matter in the short term. One Arena run, it'll matter. But over, 10, 20, 50 Arena runs, the cream will rise to the top. And that's how this would work. So it would be fine.
Yeah, I think it would be fine as is. I wouldn't change a darn thing. Obviously, from a production side, there's decisions to be made. Do we show the draft? Do we not show the draft? If we are showing the draft, how are we doing that? Because if we have more than 4 players, that's going to take forever.
Well, they all draft at the same time, I think, and you just kind of jump around. That's probably what I
think
would
that's
do.
probably the best thing to do as well. And depending on how large the tournament is, maybe you just ignore it for the larger rounds.
Yeah, pretty much. And on your last point, by the way, as we get deeper into, the current expansions and stuff, and the game gets a little more stale, I think we all start playing a little more arena. But one thing we wanted to do is put out more arena content, and definitely we'll talk about that. So I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Jocelyn, next email.
This one comes to us from Mike. Says, hello, fellow fuming fowl. I had a few thoughts about the card Doom following the discussion I heard on last week's podcast. My initial reaction was similar to yours in that it's just an overpriced twisting nether and will never cause you to that will cause you to overdraw and rush towards fatigue. However, the more I thought about the card in the context of the full expansion as we know it, I think the card was designed for at least one very specific use. Assuming that each class is supposed to be able to make some sort of a workable Cthulhu deck, Doom is supposed to be used to set up for next turn lethal in a Cthulhu Warlock deck. Allow me to illustrate. Imagine turns 11, 12, and 13 have come and gone while that eyeball of chaos continues to elude you. Your opponent has been building their board and will certainly dispatch you soon, while your win condition remains somewhere in your deck. What shall you do? Doom! Playing this card will, in the late game, allow you to clear the board, dig to the last dregs of your deck for Cthulhu, and set up next turn devastation. Set up the next turn devastation you've been preparing for. Given only one turn to reestablish a board during late game, it's unlikely that your opponent will do much to avoid taking the brunt of Cthulhu's vicious battle cry to the face. I'm happy to hear your thoughts on whether this is a deliberate strategy Team 5 intended with the card, or if it is really just a crappy clear. Stay angry, my friends. So I think he's probably pretty right about this. They're definitely aiming to have players create old god specific decks. I think a lot of cards that we talked about today are very good in a very specific deck. So they seem to be almost diversifying the things that you can do by saying this one card works in one way in one place. And I'm kind of okay with that. I think that that's probably going to shake up the meta a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how this card would be useful pretty much in like combo decks, and you could call a Cthulhu deck a combo deck essentially. Cthulhu is your combo, right?
Yes.
It's your anything can happen. It's your whatever, it's just it's the big bomb. So that would be one of the scenarios where Doom would be an okay card, because the fact that you're digging through your deck even further to find those combo pieces, or in this case Cthulhu, that's the use for it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's pretty tough to make that card work.
I think it's a really good point, Mike. Thank you for bringing it up. We totally
I'm on board.
Did not think of that. Also, Jocelyn, you didn't keep saying Doom like you should have.
There were 3 Dooms, and I definitely doomed at least twice, so come on.
Then you just fizzled out. No more Doom.
No more
Well,
Doom.
there was one Doom in the middle of a sentence, and it didn't really fit. But
Yeah, it's tough when the Doom's in the middle. I get it.
yeah, right?
Oh, wonderful. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Again, keep those emails coming to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, patrons. We really appreciate it. If you want to support the show, become a patron. You can go to patreon.com/TAC. Also, keep those iTunes reviews coming. We got some new 5-star reviews to thank this week. Bobby Tom, Red Ring Hater, who said, I love this show. There's an artist who also plays guitar that is not shy about showing his baby rage. There is this cool girl from Canada that is the single reason that Smite is taking off. And there is the soon-to-be Magic the Gathering pro whose claim to fame is every weapon is a hunter weapon. I got a good giggle out of that. Also, Hardcore Poncho, who apparently is a fellow punk fan, so you go, dude. Van Herring and Sage1082. Thank you guys for your 5-star iTunes reviews. Check us out on amove.tv or youtube.com/amovetv. Big fat thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, Peter Williams, and Maddock. You can grab our coffee mugs and pint glasses over at bit.ly/amovestore and get our t-shirts on slashloot.com. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. And we'll be back next Tuesday for our next Prime episode at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/amovetv or on alphageekmedia.com. Finally, check out Brian Griffith Music for our intro music. He's awesome. Dills, where can folks find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I am at Willie Dills, and the stream is twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. We'll be doing pretty much daily streams there, so check that out. The Instance Friday mornings at 11 Central. Stormcast Mondays at 10 Central. And this coming Friday, I'm just going to announce it here. I'll be on the Velen's Chosen podcast, which is another Hearthstone podcast. They've been trying to get all three of us on, I think, and I think I'm the first one to make it. I think you guys.
I believe you are.
He's bugging you guys too, but you guys should go on. I checked out one of their latest episodes. It's very good. So I'm going to be on there this Friday at 6:30 Central, and I'll just tweet about it. I don't know what his Twitch channel is right now off the top of my head, but yeah, check that out.
Should probably just follow at Willie Dills on Twitter, everyone.
Yeah, that's where you'll find all the crap.
Right?
Yeah. So,
yeah, and go check out Velen's Chosen. Rob's good people. Jocelyn, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Joce Plays. You can find me right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV for the Gamers In every Wednesday night. I'm also going to pimp Ladies Night, which is tonight. We had a great time last week playing against you guys with all our crazy, crazy rules. So that is just myself and 4 friends, including Jules from Torin Think Tank and Quoted Nevermore from like all over Warcraft and AIE. And we just play heroes and we drink wine when we die and it gets pretty crazy. So we have a lot of fun. Again, that's twitch.tv/Joce Plays. I am also going to be guesting on Well Met this weekend. So check them out on Sunday night.
Sweet.
Oh, the guests, except me. I'm like, no one asked me to do anything, guys. Actually, I will be going on Zombies Ate My Podcast for their Walking Dead finale episode next
Dude,
week.
I'm excited for that, man.
Yeah.
Next week. Oh God, I'm
know.
scared.
I'm doing
scared.
Walking Dead nails on Friday for Get Nailed. So
Now, do you guys read the comics?
I'm not nearly.
I'm not this far.
Okay.
I do, but I'm not up to this point.
Okay.
It's significantly past where I've read.
All right.
But I have read comic spoilers in articles, so I have kind of an idea of things. And I know who the actor is, and I can't wait because I love him.
I do like that actor as well. I know about that. That's been spoiled. That was spoiled on Talking Dead of all things.
Yeah.
A show that's tied into the. It's like, why would you spoil that?
Here's the thing. I can't be excited because I'm just terrified of what's going to happen.
All I know
as a comic
is
reader, and I won't say
yeah.
anything more than that. But as a comic reader, one of the toughest moments in reading comics I've ever had to get through. Like literally put the comic down, was like, oh man, no.
I'm gonna walk away.
You know?
I'm gonna walk away. The reason I haven't.
I almost stopped reading the comic after that. I almost was like, I can't do this anymore. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Well, folks, you can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. I can be found on Into the Nexus, talking Heroes of the Storm, where we are 2 episodes away from our 100th episode. Dear God. So go check that out. Check out The Angry Nerd, my solo show. And I've got another show that I've been doing for the New Mexico State University called Entrepreneuring, where I sit down and do a 20 to 30-minute talk with an entrepreneur about their business, how they got it started, and where it's going in the future. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, you should check out Entrepreneuring. It's on iTunes. It's on the Arrowhead Center YouTube. So go check that out. Thanks again to Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode. Use the code TAC. Get 10% off your first order. We'll see you next time, everyone. Good luck. Good luck and have fun. No, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!